Imagine, just for like one single second, the absolute worst case scenario in your entire marriage.
Oh, I'm already stressed.
Right, like your husband gets arrested, the actual police are involved, there are handcuffs, there is a literal booking photo. It is a complete nightmare.
A total PR disaster, honestly.
Exactly. But then it somehow gets worse. Because the person who casually pulls up to the police precinct in their little sedan, throwing it into park to function as his personal getaway driver from the county jail.
Oh my God, the audacity of this.
It is his mistress.
It is a level of delusion that genuinely belongs in like an abnormal psychology textbook. It completely shatters the social contract.
My jaw was firmly on the floor. I was spiraling.
I know.
But we will get to the mistress functioning as a literal Uber in just a minute. Babes, by the time you hear this, it'll be the work week. So happy Monday, babes.
Happy Monday, Snark Squad. We are barely surviving over here if we are being completely transparent.
Honestly, true. Between our own weekend and this finale, my brain is just static.
I am operating on pure, like, residual adrenaline right now, but the sheer dopamine hit of our weekend was totally worth the physical exhaustion I'm currently feeling.
Oh, I have to tell the Snark Squad because it was unexpectedly one of the best nights I have had in a very long time. Babes, we went bowling.
We did. We really did.
Yes, you heard that correctly. And I'm suddenly convinced I've been ignoring my true athletic calling my entire adult life.
It was truly something to witness, I will say that. You approach a bowling lane with the exact same energy Rulla Pontarelli approaches his marriage.
Wait, excuse me.
I mean it. Zero technique, pure chaotic momentum, and somehow expecting a flawless, perfectly polished result at the end.
Okay, that is an incredibly shady but highly accurate comparison. But listen, I threw 2 strikes. Back to back.
You did. It was a statistical anomaly, but it happened.
And because I have zero humility, I was instantly looking around the alley waiting for like a professional league scout to hand me a sponsorship deal.
You were literally adjusting your hair for imaginary cameras.
I wanted the custom ball. I wanted the polyester shirt with the flames.
Yeah.
I was ready to go pro right then and there.
Your confidence was staggering, especially considering your bowling shoes were essentially untied the entire time. But let the record show, I was right there in the delusion with you.
Oh, you were worse.
Yeah.
You were celebrating every single spare.
I celebrated every single spare I managed to scrape together as if I were standing on an Olympic podium, okay? I felt like I was listening to the national anthem. I was doing a full victory lap around the ball return.
You were high-fiving absolute strangers. It was so embarrassing, but so iconic. But we also need to have a very serious discussion about the snack counter at that place.
We need a team of scientists to analyze what was happening there.
Because the nachos at that alley had absolutely no business being that incredibly good.
It's the chemical composition of that neon orange pump cheese. It is a highly engineered synthetic masterpiece.
It is. It's barely food, but it hits perfectly.
When you combine that chemically perfect room temperature plastic cheese with a hyper salty tortilla chip, all while wearing shoes that 1,000 other people have sweat in, I mean, it is a culinary triumph.
I am officially declaring bowling the most underrated adult activity. You eat questionable cheese, you throw a heavy object as hard as you can, and you get to sit down every 2 minutes. Like, what is not to love?
It's the perfect sport for lazy people with rage issues.
Honestly, yes. But babes, between the Dude Ranch weekend we just survived and the bowling alley nachos, my internal organs have formally submitted a grievance to HR. My body is literally requesting PTO.
Which is exactly why we are officially back in our hydration era.
Yes. Tonight, we both have massive ice-cold glasses of lemon water sitting right in front of us. I'm taking a sip right now and pretending I am an elite wellness influencer.
The issue is I got way too ambitious with the lemon-to-water ratio.
Is it aggressive?
My mouth is currently experiencing a level of sour puckering that is actively distracting. But I am pushing through because I'm deeply committed to the shared cultural delusion we all participate in.
You mean the delusion that one glass of water acts as a magical reset button for your entire life?
Precisely. We have somehow convinced ourselves that hydration is a literal time machine.
It cures everything.
We genuinely believe that this single glass of excessively lemony water is going to fundamentally alter reality and completely undo an entire weekend of Bellinis, greasy burgers, and barbecue.
I refuse to let you ruin this placebo effect for me. I genuinely believe that if I drink this fast enough, the neon pump cheese simply evaporates from my bloodstream. Let me live in my truth.
I will support your right to dietary delusion, mostly because we are about to unpack an entire cast of women who have made delusion their primary personality trait.
Oh my God, the perfect transition. But before we get to Rhode Island, It is time to give the Snark Squad their messy relationship horoscopes for the upcoming week.
Yes. Everyone pay attention because the stars are feeling incredibly messy this week. Let's run through a rapid-fire, highly chaotic zodiac reading.
I'll start. Aries and Taurus, brace yourselves. This week, you can expect ghosts returning from the absolute depths of 2022.
Not 2022, the darkest year.
Yes. We are talking about exes who you swore you blocked on every single platform, who will somehow find a loophole and view your LinkedIn profile at 2 in the morning. And your coping mechanism. You're going to send some highly questionable, emotionally loaded text entirely after midnight. Do not do it, babes.
Oh, they are absolutely going to send the text. Okay, Gemini and Cancer, the universe is putting you through an obstacle course. You are going to find yourself smack in the middle of accidental love triangles at the office.
No, not the office.
Yes, the break room is about to get treacherous, and by Thursday, you are going to be radiating full, block them immediately energy, just burn the bridge. The structural integrity was compromised anyway. It's so true. Okay, Leo and Virgo. Yours is actually somewhat charming, but still laced with potential chaos. You are going to be soft launching a brand new, totally unexpected crush.
Oh, a soft launch.
And it might just be your barista. We know exactly what you are going to do. You are going to post a highly curated picture of your oat milk latte to your Instagram story, making sure the very edge of their green apron is visible in the background. We see you.
A barista soft launch is top-tier posting. All right, Libra and Scorpio, you two are always operating at an 11 anyway. This week, prepare for dramatic, unannounced exits from group chats.
I love a group chat exit.
You're going to hit leave conversation over a perceived slight that is incredibly petty, and then you will spend the next 48 hours plotting your revenge entirely via vague, moody Instagram stories featuring black and white photos of your shoes.
The vague posting is an absolute guarantee. Okay, Sagittarius and Capricorn, we need to have an intervention. Your horoscope is deeply concerning.
You are going to spend the next 7 days actively ignoring major, glaring, siren-blaring red flags entirely because the lighting at brunch was highly flattering.
Oh, that is so real.
Right. Like, he might be unemployed and he might lack basic empathy, but he looks incredible during golden hour, so you are going to excuse the behavior.
The lighting can be incredibly persuasive. And finally, Aquarius and Pisces, I am so sorry. You are going to spend the week delusionally romanticizing someone who still sleeps on an unsheeted, bare mattress.
No. Run, do not walk.
There is a direct, scientifically proven correlation between a bare mattress and profound emotional unavailability. It is the absolute canary in the coal mine of dating.
Consider yourselves warned, babes. Now, let me just take a deep breath. Because, babes, this is the finale of The Real Housewives of Rhode Island, and honestly, we did not expect to already be here.
It feels like just yesterday we were introduced to this specific brand of East Coast chaos.
The season flew by so fast. From the summer dunking iced coffees and sipping Dell's lemonade by the harbor to this absolutely explosive dark ending. I need everyone listening to prepare emotionally for one last, highly concentrated dose of Rhode Island pathology.
Grab your lemon water, honestly.
Babes, let's get into this finale.
Let's do it. So we are moving from the choppy, unpredictable waters of our own weekend hangovers to the literal, physical choppy waters of the Block Island Ferry.
The ferry boat.
Kelsey decides she wants to host this end-of-summer trip to Block Island, which, by the way, the cast keeps referring to as New England's Caribbean, a rebrand I find geographically offensive.
It was so freezing cold. Everyone was wearing chunky knits.
Right. But her stated mission is to heal the group. She wants to enforce conflict resolution.
Which is such a classic, flawed reality TV premise. You take 6 women who have been actively tearing each other apart for 3 months, you trap them on a freezing cold boat during high tide, and you just declare, let the healing begin.
And they arrive, and almost immediately, before they even have time to unpack their bags at the hotel, Jo-Ellen pulls Liz aside on the beach for a sit-down.
I was so stressed during this scene.
I was fascinated by the production mechanics of it. Kelsey was banking on the fact that Liz has a deep nostalgic love for Block Island. She was hoping the environment would soften Liz's defenses toward Jo-Ellen.
And as they're waiting by the water, Liz is visibly thrown off balance because Jo-Ellen greets her with this intense, unexpected warmth.
And then they sit down in the sand, and Jo-Ellen just goes straight for the jugular, but in this weird therapeutic way. She asks Liz to define their friendship, and then she actually compares their dynamic to an abusive relationship.
I literally gasped.
She says, and this is practically a direct quote, it's like an abusive relationship, and then she takes it a step further and compares Liz to her own mother.
Her abusive mother. We need to unpack this carefully because it is a masterclass in how reality television stars weaponize therapy speak.
Oh, complete.
If someone sits you down with the goal of repairing a fractured friendship, and their opening conversational gambit is to compare you to an abusive romantic partner and their own toxic mother, how does a normal human being respond?
Most people would be completely alienated. They would walk away. It is an incredibly heavy-loaded accusation to drop on a public beach.
But Liz actually receives it. She doesn't storm off. She admits she missed Jo-Ellen, and they both acknowledge they said things in anger that they didn't mean.
I have to push back on Liz's receptiveness, though, because even in the middle of this supposed breakthrough, Liz still had to get her little bigs in.
She couldn't help herself.
No, she could have. She was still holding on to the fact that Jo-Ellen accused her of getting physical during their massive fight earlier in the season. Liz sits there and says, "We have footage," as if the Bravo cameras are going to exonerate her in a court of law.
Which is wild because Liz completely ignores the fact that during that earlier fight, she kept aggressively demanding that Jo-Ellen take her hands off her for hours, while Jo-Ellen was literally just trying to gently comfort her.
Liz has projected very distinct evil stepmother energy throughout this entire inaugural season. There is a real coldness to her conflict management.
Oh, totally.
But looking at this beach scene analytically, I have to question if Liz's sudden warmth and willingness to forgive is actually genuine, or if we are watching a highly calculated PR move.
You think it's pure image rehabilitation?
Absolutely, I do. These women are hyper-aware of the cameras, especially by the end of a filming cycle. Liz knows exactly how she looked during that physical altercation. She knows she came across as aggressive and unreasonable.
So she has to pivot.
Exactly. Making up on the beach, saying she adores her, and publicly declaring that she is letting Jo-Ellen off the hook, that is an apology to her. She is trying to secure a favorable edit before the producers pack up the equipment.
That makes total sense, but sorry, Biggs, but the way they seal the apology, I had a visceral, out-of-body reaction on my couch. I was crying, laughing.
It was so unhinged.
They are hashing out this deeply toxic, quote-unquote, abusive dynamic, and then out of nowhere, Liz aggressively tackles Jo-Ellen into the freezing sand and starts dry humping her.
It was incredibly jarring. It was a complete tonal whiplash. 1 minute, they are dissecting the psychological weight of an abusive mother-daughter dynamic, and the next minute, they're executing a WWE takedown in the dunes.
Why do they do that? Like, who reacts to a heavy emotional breakthrough by humping someone in a winter coat?
It is a bizarre tension release mechanism. When the emotional stakes get too high and the vulnerability becomes too uncomfortable, people often resort to extreme physical comedy to break the tension. It's somatic experiencing of conflict, but it was certainly a choice to do it in wet sand.
My jeans felt wet just watching it. I also have a major issue with Jo-Ellen's mindset during this truce, though.
Oh, her wanting to go back to normal?
Yes, Liv says she wants to start over, to build a fresh foundation. But Jo-Ellen explicitly states she just wants to go back to how things were. Why would you ever want to go back to how things were? The past was fundamentally toxic.
It really was.
The past is exactly what led you to a physical altercation where you felt abused in the first place.
It comes down to the comfort of the known versus the terrifying vacuum of the unknown. Jo-Ellen is exhausted, babes. She has been fighting a grueling war on 2 fronts all season.
True, she's been battling Liz on one side and Rulla on the other.
Right. To start fresh requires energy. It requires building new boundaries and a new dynamic. To go back to how things were, even if that baseline was flawed and damaging, is simply slipping back into an old familiar habit. She is choosing the path of least resistance because her emotional reserves are at absolute zero.
Well, she got her old friendship back, complete with a face full of sand. But speaking of repairing things that are incredibly broken and messy, let's move from the beach to the exterior of the hotel and dissect Alicia's fairy tale reproposal.
I do not even know where to begin with the pathology of this romantic relationship. Billy and Alicia have been engaged for 9 years.
9 years.
A 9-year engagement is not an engagement. It is a hostage situation. Alicia has been begging for a redo because the original proposal was an absolute unmitigated disaster.
I am obsessing over the lore of the first proposal. The fact that Alicia just casually dumps this traumatic information onto an innocent waiter is iconic reality TV behavior.
That poor waiter was just trying to take drink orders.
Literally. Let's paint the picture for everyone. The first time Billy proposed, Alicia was heavily pregnant. Which is fine, that can be beautiful. but she also had a severe case of bronchitis.
And Billy, in all his romantic glory, didn't even bother to get down on one knee.
Not even a slight bend. And the details get progressively worse. Because she was suffering from bronchitis, she had a severe buildup of mucus in her throat, which required her to eat a frozen treat to soothe the inflammation.
But she doesn't refer to it as a popsicle or a fudgesicle. She hilariously, and with complete deadpan earnestness, pronounces it fudgicle.
Fudgicle. I had to pause the television and walk a lap around my living room. Fudgicle. Alicia is undeniably the breakout comic relief star of this franchise. Her malapropisms are legendary. Every time she opens her mouth, she just disarms the tension of the show.
She truly does. The comedy completely masks the underlying tragedy of a man stalling a marriage for nearly a decade.
It's so bleak when you really think about it.
But let's look at the setup for this grand redo. Billy actually takes Gary's advice, which Gary proudly declared a home run idea, by the way, and he sets up an array of roses and candles around 2 standard Adirondack chairs outside the Atlantic Inn.
Which is genuinely a sweet effort. It is finally somewhat romantic. But then Alicia walks out of the hotel, and she's immediately complaining about the stairs leading down to the lawn.
She is furious about the stairs.
And why is she complaining? Because she casually drops brand new, deeply traumatic lore. Her mother once dropped her down a set of stairs, so now she has a clinical phobia of stairs.
The lore never stops.
First the fudgicle, now the stair phobia. It's like an onion of trauma.
It is pure, unadulterated chaos. And then, as she is navigating her stair phobia and observing the candlelit scene, Billy prepares to ask the question. But he doesn't just drop to one knee.
Oh my God, don't remind me.
He very carefully, very methodically places a white cloth napkin on the damp grass first so he doesn't get a stain on his khakis.
The napkin. It's the least romantic, most painfully practical Rhode Island man maneuver I have ever witnessed in my life.
We also need to critically evaluate Billy's overall aesthetic in this episode. Alicia roasts him perfectly earlier in the day. She observes him coming out of the ocean and says he thinks he looks like a majestic Baywatch star, but his swim trunks are sagging and his literal crack is actively hanging out for the entire beach to see.
Plumber vibes on the beach.
There is just such a bizarre, unpolished, deeply authentic dynamic between them. They are not striving for Instagram perfection at all.
It is so messy, but I have to admit it is weirdly endearing. But here's the kicker, babes. When he finally asks her to marry him again and she accepts, her immediate response is not, "Oh, I love you so much."
No, it's a threat.
Her response is to look at him and remind him that she stuck around for 9 agonizing years and that a lot of guys like me.
It is a brilliant, albeit aggressive, negotiation tactic. She is actively securing her leverage while accepting a piece of jewelry she already technically owns.
Right, because he had to physically yank the ring off her finger earlier in the trip just to do the redo. She loudly complained it hurt.
Exactly. But I need to ask you a serious question about their dynamic. Alicia has been extremely vocal all season about wanting her name on the deed to their house. She needs financial security, especially after a 9-year stall.
Right, she has no equity.
Do you think Billy is actually going to put her name on the house now that they had this romantic redo? Or was this entire napkin-kneeling Adirondack chair spectacle just a massive stalling tactic to silence her?
Oh, analytically speaking, it is a textbook stall.
You think so?
Absolutely. This is a man who waited 9 full years to get on one knee. And even when he finally did, he required a protective napkin for his pants. A man who prioritizes the cleanliness of his khakis over the spontaneity of a proposal is not a man rushing to a title company to amend a property deed.
That is such a read, but it's so accurate.
This was a pacification strategy. He provided the aesthetic fairy tale so she would stop demanding the actual legal equity in their relationship.
That is so dark, but I think you're entirely correct. He bought himself at least another 2 years of peace and quiet with those candles.
Easily. But babes, while Alicia is outside living her messy, fudgicle-free fairy tale, the real nightmare is unfolding inside the hotel rooms upstairs.
This is the moment the season's primary narrative arc finally collides with reality, the confrontation we've been waiting for.
I was literally yelling at my screen. So Jo-Ellen, who has been vindicated by the audience time and time again, marches to Rulla's room.
She is on a mission.
She has 2 very clear objectives. She wants to show Rulla the actual video proof of Brian's cheating, And she wants an apology because Rulla has been publicly calling her a liar all summer long.
And Jo-Ellen frames this entirely as an act of service. She genuinely believes she's delivering the exact empirical evidence that Rulla explicitly demanded during that explosive argument at the Arabian Nights party.
And what is Rulla's reaction? Rulla completely, flat out refuses to look at the phone.
She literally turns her head away.
She claims she doesn't want to see it and then states that anybody can fake a timestamp. I lost my mind. It is wall-to-wall delusion.
It is stunning to watch.
How do you sit there, look another human being in the eye, and refuse to look at the exact proof you screamed at them to provide?
I can explain exactly where she does it, and we need to break this down clearly. What we are witnessing is a real-time, profound display of cognitive dissonance.
Okay, psychologist, tell us.
Imagine your brain is a computer processor. Right now, Rulla has two massive files open. File A says, "My husband is a good man who loves me and respects our family." File B is a video file clearly showing him cheating on her.
Two totally opposite truths.
Exactly. The human brain literally cannot process both of those conflicting files at the same time without crashing. It triggers a severe biological stress response. So to prevent a total psychological system failure, especially while Bravo cameras are recording her every micro-expression, her brain hits delete on file B.
It just wipes it.
It invents a firewall. It decides the timestamp must be faked. It is not that Rulla is unintelligent. It is that her brain is actively protecting her from a psychological collapse in real time. It is a survival mechanism.
That explanation makes so much sense, but it is incredibly frustrating to watch as a viewer. And then she pivots to weaponizing her own victimhood.
Oh, the deathbed comment.
Yes. She tells Jo-Ellen that the timing of this revelation is cruel. She says Jo-Ellen attacked her with these rumors while she was on my deathbed all summer. On her deathbed.
She was at a gala like 2 weeks prior.
She was on her deathbed with a full face of professional glamour makeup, who is applying false lashes in the ICU.
The deathbed hyperbole is another defense mechanism. She is using exaggerated victimhood to completely shut down accountability. And the wildest part is, it works. Jo-Ellen actually apologizes for what Rulla went through health-wise and promises to drop the cheating subject for good.
Jo-Ellen just gives up. But while Rulla is successfully barricading herself in denial upstairs, the real truth is spilling out downstairs between the husbands.
Yes. Enter Gary Tiberi, who has officially secured the title of #1 husband of this franchise.
We stand, Gary.
Gary steps up to the plate. He pulls Rulla Pontarelli aside in the hotel lobby, and Gary is physically looming over him. He doesn't yell. He just firmly tells Brian to stop calling his wife a liar.
And we have to analyze the utter pathetic cowardice Brian displays in this moment. Think about his behavior all season long. Brian has been aggressively gaslighting these women.
Aggressively shouting them down.
He has manipulated Rulla into defending him, he has intimidated Jo-Ellen, and he has controlled the narrative through pure misogyny. He banked entirely on the fact that he could bully the women into silence.
But the second a man steps to him,
He crumbles, instantly. He folds like a cheap folding table.
He really does. He doesn't argue at all. He completely admits it. He looks at Gary and says, "I don't think she's a liar. I know she's not a liar. What she says, I admit to."
His only goal in that moment is to get Gary to drop the subject. It is repulsive. He is willing to psychologically torment his wife and her friends for months on end, but the minute another man, a strong, confident man who isn't afraid of him, challenges his narrative, he shrinks.
It is textbook toxic masculinity. He only respects the authority of another patriarch. It's homosocial validation. Men who view women as subordinates cannot be held accountable by women. It requires another man to break the delusion.
Wow, that is so spot on. But I have to ask you, looking at this whole picture,
Yeah.
do you think Rulla genuinely, deep down, believes that timestamp could be faked? Or is this an act?
See, I have to push back on the idea that Rulla is purely naive. I honestly believe, deep down in her soul, Rulla knows.
She has to know.
She absolutely knows Brian is stepping out on her, but she is using the faked timestamp excuse to survive the filming schedule. She is on a reality television show. The boom mics are above her head. The cameras are inches from her face.
Right. If she admits she believes the video, she has to have a complete breakdown on national television.
And her entire life implodes publicly. The delusion is her armor against public humiliation. It is a very pragmatic read on the situation. It is self-preservation. She is building a fortress of denial so she doesn't have to face the humiliation of divorce proceedings playing out for an audience.
Exactly. So the truth is finally out among the men. Jo-Ellen goes to her confessional, calls Rulla a moron, but says she is completely washing her hands of the situation. She drops the iconic line, "Stay with your husband, I don't care."
I love when housewives just wash their hands of it.
Right. You would think that after all of this heavy emotional lifting, the dust would just settle over their quaint little Block Island clam bake, right?
You would think. But peace is the mortal enemy of reality television production. So Kelsey, bless her producer-driven heart, decides to bring out a parlor game during the final dinner to ensure the pot gets stirred one last time.
The clamshell confessionals game.
And then passing around deeply personal, invasive questions written on actual physical clamshells.
While Liz is just aggressively gnawing on an ear of corn in the background. It is high art.
I can guarantee a producer handed Kelsey a basket of those shells right before they sat down. The game starts off relatively tame. Jared pulls a shell, presumably with a juicy prompt, and he delivers the most heavily PR-trained corporate snooze fest of an answer imaginable.
He's like a politician.
He says his secret, or his favorite thing, is simply, "I love Rhode Island."
He was so boring. Even Liz mocked him for it across the table. And honestly, if Jared is stuck on an island playing games with clamshells, who is currently running Audrey's coffee house,
The logistics do not make sense.
truly a mystery. But then the game takes a sharp, dark turn. Rulla pulls a question, asking for the most embarrassing thing her spouse has ever done. She smartly passes.
Very smart of her.
Then she is asked who at the table would stab her in the back with a smile. She gets visibly emotional. She says nobody, and then pointedly adds that while she used to think it was Jo-Ellen, she doesn't anymore.
And then Brian stands up.
Oh my God.
Demonic, terrifying Brian decides it is the perfect time to make a toast, and I wanted to throw my television out the nearest window.
My skin was crawling.
He thanks the group for the trip, and then he looks directly at Rulla and praises her for putting her pride and ego aside for the sake of their family.
I need to shred Brian for this specific verbiage.
Yeah.
We need to dissect this toast.
Please do.
Praising a woman for putting her pride aside is blatant abuser speak. What he is actually saying, in front of all her friends, is thank you for swallowing your self-respect so that I can continue to betray you without facing any real consequences.
Think about the sheer audacity. He is standing there, in front of the woman who exposed his affair, in front of the husband who just terrified a confession out of him hours earlier, and he is publicly thanking his wife for being submissive to his infidelity.
This is a terrifying masterclass in psychological manipulation. It was physically sickening to watch. The air left the room. But then, babes, a shining beacon of light emerges from the darkness of that dinner table.
Rosie DeMare.
Yes, Rosie, who has spent the entire season kind of sitting back, proudly child-free, renovating her massive 5,000-square-foot house, suddenly activates.
She was activated.
She fiercely, immediately defends Jo-Ellen in front of everyone. It was the defining moment of the finale. Rosie looks dead at Brian, cuts through the tension, and says, "The problem is sitting next to me."
I leaped off my couch. Rosie is that girl. She has zero hesitation. She dropped that absolute truth bomb with a giant beaming grin on her face.
She looked around, realized, ooh, this is a bad situation, and just pointed a finger directly at the actual villain of the season.
Let's look at why Rosie is the only one who could do this. Rosie has nothing to lose in this social ecosystem. She is entirely secure in her marriage. She has no financial or social ties to Brian. And she sees the dynamics clearly because she isn't desperate to fit in. She is the immune system of the group attacking the virus.
But just as the table is about to explode into a full-scale war, Alicia jumps in.
Alicia the Peacemaker.
Yes. Alicia, the peacemaker, with the newfound stare phobia, shuts the entire conversation down. She waves her hands and says, "Put it in the ocean, it's drowned."
And miraculously, everyone laughs, the tension breaks, and they agree to drop it. But I have to question Alicia's true motives here. Was shutting down that conversation actually helpful for the long-term health of the group dynamic? Or was this a producer-driven attempt to wrap the finale with a neat, happy bow?
Because absolutely nothing was resolved at that table.
Nothing. They just swept a massive, toxic scandal under a rug made of sand.
To be honest, I think Alicia just wanted the spotlight back. She wanted to go back to talking about her napkin proposal and looking at her ring. She didn't want Brian's incredibly dark energy ruining her celebratory night.
That is a very fair point. She protected her own narrative, so they wrap the trip, they toast to the end of the summer, they genuinely think the drama drowned in the Atlantic Ocean.
But it didn't drown, Gabes. It learned how to swim, it procured a life jacket, and a month later, it is splashing across the front page of the actual real-world news cycle.
The epilogue. It is arguably the most chilling final 10 minutes in the history of Bravo programming.
The finale title cards start rolling, giving us the updates. We get a flash forward to 1 month later, October 2025.
Here we go.
Brian Pontarelli is arrested.
Mm-hmm.
He is hit with a misdemeanor domestic violence charge. And why is he arrested? Because he put an electronic GPS tracking device on Rulla's BMW.
Let's just pause and appreciate the profound, bleak irony of this crime. Brian procured and installed a covert GPS tracker on a woman who literally sat inside her house for the entire duration of the filming season. Where exactly did he think she was going? The living room, the pantry.
He was tracking her movements from the couch to the foyer, but the wildest, most mind-blowing detail of this entire saga. Rulla files for a no-contact order. Brian gets arrested. He is sitting in a holding cell. And who goes to the police station to pick him up?
I can't even say it.
The mistress.
The mistress functioning as Brian's personal chauffeur from the precinct.
I was screaming at my TV. The sheer audacity, the level of disrespect is staggering. It is like a poorly written Lifetime movie.
We have to look at what this means socially. It is the ultimate, most public humiliation for Rulla. The mistress is no longer hiding in the shadows. She is performing administrative duties for him in broad daylight.
She is basically his assistant.
But we also have to look at how the rest of the cast reacted to the news breaking. They immediately splintered into two distinct factions. Kelsey, Ashley, Alicia, and Rosie rushed to Rulla's house to offer their support.
But Jo-Ellen. Jo-Ellen takes a completely different route. She shows up at Liz's house with a freshly baked pie.
And chocolate.
Yes. She shows up to Liz's kitchen looking like she just won the Powerball. She is absolutely giddy, beaming with the glow of pure vindication. It is top-tier, legendary, petty housewives behavior.
Oh, she was glowing.
And frankly, she earned that pie. She worked that storyline for a solid calendar year. She let everyone call her a liar. She took the abuse, and now the man who tortured her is in jail and getting chauffeured around town by his side piece.
It is incredible television. It is the ultimate I told you so. But the tone shifts drastically when the cameras take us inside Rulla's house.
It gets so dark again.
Rulla's rationalization for the GPS tracker is deeply, profoundly disturbing. She sits on her couch and claims the media is blowing the arrest out of proportion. She tells the women that Brian just wanted to know if she's going to stop by his office, or, and this is the kicker, if she was going to drive by the mistress's house.
How does she rationalize that? How do you look your friends in the eye, say, oh, he's just tracking my vehicle to make sure I don't catch him with the woman he's cheating on me with, and still decide to stay in the marriage?
Because the core issue is control. We have to analytically break down how dark and twisted that level of surveillance is, despite the glossy, high-definition reality TV filter we are viewing it through.
It is actual stalking.
He is continuing his affair, and he is utilizing domestic espionage technology to ensure his wife doesn't interrupt his infidelity. That is a level of psychological warfare that goes far beyond standard reality television drama. It is dangerous.
It is terrifying.
And yet she tells the women she encouraged him to seek help, and the entire season ends with her staring blankly at the camera, shrugging her shoulders and saying, I don't know, even though we all know she stayed with him.
It is incredibly heavy. The whiplash of this show is insane. But before we leave the recap portion of this conversation, we have to talk about the final update cards for the rest of the cast, because the producers gave us everything we needed in those final frames.
The wrap-up text was incredibly pointed and shady. We learned that Rosie's house remains under construction at a sprawling 5,000 square feet, and her friendship with Kelsey is apparently also under construction.
I love a punny update card.
We learn that Kelsey's financial burdens are growing because her ex-husband isn't paying her rent, but the card cheekily notes that luckily she learned how to write a check.
The shade of the producers. And Liz and Dolores are riding high on launching their menopause gummies. Liz's stepdaughter got engaged at her own gender reveal party, which is an exhausting amount of major life events to cram into one afternoon.
Way too much happening in one yard.
Ashley is raking in the influencer brand deals, but Jared refuses to let Audrey's coffee house go. And the text ominously states they are resting in Rhode Island for now. Are they fleeing the state?
The phrasing certainly implies a geographic relocation is imminent. And finally, we get an update on Alicia. She has taken full creative control over Pizza Mama and is currently working on launching a cracker line of her own, an artisanal cracker line.
An absolute snack food empire. What an inaugural season. But since these women actually survived their first run in the Bravo Thunderdome, it is time for us to put on our producer hats.
Yes, let's cast the next season.
Yeah, we need to dictate the future of this franchise. Let's transition into discussing exactly what we need to see in Season 2. Let's start with the social dynamics. Which fractured friendships do you want to see repaired?
Okay, I know this might be controversial given everything that went down, but I want Kelsey and Rosie to fully repair their relationship next season.
Really? Why? They've been at each other's throats for months over the most trivial perceived slights.
Because their petty, entitled, rich girl energy would form an absolutely unstoppable alliance. Think about the potential.
Okay, sell me on it.
Kelsey's finally learning how to write her own checks and assert her independence, and Rosie is building a literal compound. If they stop fighting each other and team up, they could be the most lethal, condescending, fabulous duo on the network. I need them sitting in the corner of every party, sipping expensive martinis and judging everyone else's outfits.
I can certainly see the vision. It would be a formidable voting bloc. But for me, I am much more focused on the conflicts. Which feuds do we absolutely need to continue? I demand that the Jo-Ellen versus Rulla feud carries over directly into Season 2.
You don't want them to find peace.
Absolutely not. I refuse to let Rulla off the hook that easily. Think about what she did. She got away with calling Jo-Ellen a malicious liar all summer. She weaponized her supposed deathbed illness to dodge accountability. She blatantly refused to look at the timestamp evidence. And then, after all of that, she went right back to the man who was humiliating her.
She did all of that.
Jo-Ellen needs to hold her feet to the fire. I want printed receipts. I want chronological timelines. I want Jo-Ellen to hire a licensed private investigator. The feud must go on for the sake of justice.
I love the demand for toxicity. What about a bigger overarching storyline? Which cast member deserves main character treatment next year?
Oh, I believe we are in total agreement on this one.
Alicia.
Without a doubt. Her new Kraka empire and her impending wedding planning need to be the absolute focal point of Season 2.
I need to see her executing rigorous cracker taste tests. I need to see her trying on extravagant, overly beaded white mermaid gowns. I need to see Selena dressed in head-to-toe pink.
And I need to see Billy aggressively negotiating with floral vendors while actively trying to protect his khakis from getting dirty.
It is the exact brand of comic relief we desperately need to balance out Brian's dark, demonic surveillance tactics.
Speaking of balance, I think we need to inject a brand new personality into the group dynamic. We need someone who is actually single, unattached, and actively dating.
Yes, a messy single girl navigating the dating pool.
Right now, the entire narrative revolves around intense, suffocating husband drama. Gary confronting Brian, Billy's delayed napkin proposal, Jared's failing coffee shop. We need a wild card.
We really do.
We need a 30-something woman who is swiping recklessly on Hinge, going on terrible, chaotic dates in downtown Providence, and bringing random, intimidating men around to social events just to make the husbands uncomfortable. It would break up the heavy marital trauma perfectly.
I am officially manifesting this casting decision. Okay, before we move on, I have one completely chaotic, very specific prediction for next season. Are you ready?
Lay your prediction on me.
I predict that Billy will somehow manage to lose Alicia's engagement ring in the actual ocean before the wedding ever happens.
The second ring, the one he just put back on her finger.
Yes. The exact ring he yanked off her finger. He's going to be trying to execute another romantic Baywatch-style walk out of the water to impress her. The ring is going to slip out of his damp khaki pocket, and they're going to have to hire professional scuba divers to scour the shoreline while Alicia screams about fudgicles on the beach.
I can see it happening with crystal clarity. I honestly wouldn't put it past him. It would be a phenomenal mid-season crisis.
It really would.
You know what we need to talk about before we look at the reunion? We need to issue these women their Bravo-mandated survival kits. If they are stepping back into this environment, they need provisions.
We are assigning every single cast member one specific item they absolutely need to survive Season 2. Let's start with Rulla.
This one is highly practical and arguably legally necessary at this point. Rulla gets a high-tech, military-grade GPS bug detector.
Yes, that is exactly what she needs.
She needs to sweep her BMW every morning. She needs to sweep her designer purses, her shoes, the lining of her coats, everything. If Brian is resorting to literal domestic espionage to cover up his affair and monitor her movements, she requires counter-surveillance gear just to leave her driveway safely.
That is Survival 101. Okay, for Liz. Liz gets a heavy-duty professional-grade set of volleyball knee pads.
Is this specifically for the aggressive beach humping?
Exactly. If her primary love language is aggressively tackling other women into the freezing wet sand of Block Island to resolve verbal conflicts, she needs to protect her joints.
She cannot risk an injury.
She is currently launching a line of menopause gummies. She cannot be risking a catastrophic patella injury in the dunes. Knee pads are non-negotiable for Liz.
A brilliant preventative measure. For Alicia, we are issuing a lifetime wholesale supply of throat-soothing fudgicles.
The fudgicles are a medical necessity.
She never knows when a severe case of bronchitis is going to strike. She needs a chest freezer fully stocked in her garage so she can comfortably dictate her demands to Billy without her mucus getting in the way of her articulation.
I support this prescription. And finally, for our vindicated queen, Jo-Ellen. Jo-Ellen gets a state-of-the-art hidden spy camera that records in crystal-clear 4K resolution.
So no one can ever question her timestamps again.
Exactly. Rulla wants to look at her and say anybody can fake a timestamp. Fine. Next time Jo-Ellen catches Brian at a restaurant with the Uber-driving mistress, she is going to have 4K IMAX quality footage with an unalterable digital watermark.
She's not just going to be bringing receipts. She's going to be producing feature-length documentaries.
Jo-Ellen, private investigator, I love the rebrand. But even with all the spy cameras and knee pads in the world, the real danger zone for these women isn't on camera. It's what happens on their phones the second the cameras drop.
The group chat.
We need to do a group chat autopsy.
Snark Squad is going to love this. Because we all know the absolute second this finale episode aired on television, their phones immediately lit up. We are going to read the imaginary cast group chat from the morning after the finale aired.
Let's set the psychological scene. It is 7:00 a.m. on Monday morning. The adrenaline is pumping. The regrets are setting in.
I will be Kelsey. Kelsey kicks the chat off, desperately trying to maintain her role as the peacemaker. She sends, "Great summer, ladies. So glad we could all come together at the clam bake." Heart emoji, wave emoji.
And then there is dead silence for 45 agonizing minutes. Nobody wants to be the first to engage. Finally, Rulla logs on. She completely ignores Kelsey's message. Instead, she scrolls up to a random photo someone posted 3 days ago of Jo-Ellen eating a slice of pie, and she leaves a single, highly passive-aggressive thumbs-up tap-back reaction on the photo.
The ultimate digital shade.
Yeah.
The thumbs up is an act of war. Okay, then Jo-Ellen enters the chat. She is feeling incredibly bold after watching her vindication on screen. She drops a direct link to the Providence Journal article detailing Brian's arrest. No context, no text, just the raw link.
The chat completely freezes. You can almost hear the collective sharp intake of breath.
2 agonizing minutes later, Jo-Ellen deletes the link and types, "Oops, wrong chat. My bad." Squirting sweat emoji.
She knew exactly what she was doing. It was a calculated strike.
Exactly. And then the grand finale of the group chat. Gary.
Gary somehow got added to the chat months ago and completely forgot to mute it. He opens his phone, gets confused by the interface, and accidentally sends an audio voice note meant for Jo-Ellen directly into the main group.
And the voice note just plays, "I told you the guy was a wimp, Joe. Folded like a napkin. Anyway, pick up some cold cuts."
Absolute unmitigated devastation. The chat is permanently deleted by the admin immediately after that.
A digital masterpiece.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to rate their performance on the social metrics that actually dictate who survives in this ecosystem. It is time for the soft girl social rankings.
Let's dive into these rankings. Category 1, brunch energy. Who brings the absolute best unpredictable chaos to a mid-morning mimosa gathering?
Alicia wins this category, hands down. She wins for sheer, unadulterated unpredictability.
Oh, completely.
You have no idea if she is going to passionately discuss the supply chain of her crackers, reveal a new bizarre phobia regarding household architecture, or casually announce that her husband's crack is hanging out for the waiter to see.
Okay.
She is the wild card you desperately want sitting next to you at a bottomless brunch.
I completely agree. Category 2, vacation vibes. Who is the absolute worst person to travel with?
Liz. Liz loses the vacation vibes category entirely.
Her energy was a massive detriment to that ferry ride. Up until the bizarre dry humping incident, she made everyone on that freezing boat incredibly tense. She brings a very specific evil stepmother energy to a quaint beach town, and that is a severe vibe killer.
A catastrophic vibe killer. Category 3, ability to hold a grudge.
Jo-Ellen takes this trophy with ease.
She worked that cheating storyline for a full 365-day calendar year. She's told she was lying, she was socially alienated, she physically knocked over glasses in her confessional out of pure, unadulterated rage, but she never, ever let the bone go.
Like a dog with a bone.
She gripped that grudge like an Olympic weightlifter.
Which naturally brings us to category 4, delusion.
We must all bow down to the undisputed queen of delusion, Rulla.
She takes the crown without a single challenger. Refusing to look at a high-definition video because anybody can fake a timestamp while simultaneously claiming you're on your deathbed with full glam and then rationalizing a GPS tracker by saying he just wanted to check your driving route.
It is sick.
It is a level of psychological gymnastics that deserves a gold medal. It is historical delusion.
And finally, Category 5. Main character syndrome.
Rosie.
Yes, Rosie DeMar.
She barely engaged in the petty mudslinging all season. She just sat back, proudly child-free, listening to her husband croon on gondola rides, managing the construction of a literal 5,000-square-foot compound. And then when the absolute climax of the season happens, she drops a tactical nuke like, "This is BAD," with a giant grin, points directly at the villain, and walks away.
That is true main character energy. She doesn't chase the drama, she simply judges it.
She didn't even break a sweat. Iconic behavior. Now, before we completely wrap up this conversation, we have to look ahead. Andy Cohen is gearing up for a 2-part reunion. The trailer just dropped, and it looks brutal.
The reunion prediction hotline. We need to make our official predictions. First prediction, first person to cry.
Rulla, without hesitation.
100%. She is going to start crying the absolute second Andy brings up the GPS tracker. She is going to use the tears as a psychological shield to defend her marriage, knowing the other women will back off if she's actively weeping.
It is her primary, most effective defense mechanism. Next prediction, first person to physically walk off the stage.
Brian. The trailer literally shows him sitting in the hot seat, looking terrified. The minute Andy asks him a direct, probing question and Gary glares at him from the husband seating section, Brian is going to complain the studio lights are too hot, rip his microphone off, and scurry back to his dressing room.
He is fundamentally a coward. He will flee the moment the patriarchal pressure gets too high. Prediction 3, the biggest receipt pulled on stage.
Oh, I have visualized this. Jo-Ellen is going to reach behind the reunion couch, and she's going to pull out a thick manila folder. And inside that folder is going to be a laminated, color-printed copy of the mistress's literal Uber rating or the text message thread coordinating the jail pickup.
I can hear her reading it now. Your driver, the mistress, is arriving in a silver sedan in 2 minutes.
Yes, she is going to read it into the official Bravo record.
Prediction 4, the wildest one-liner of the night.
This undoubtedly belongs to Alicia.
Yeah.
She's going to try to passionately defend Jo-Ellen during a heated argument, but in the chaos of the moment, she is going to drastically mispronounce a completely basic word.
What do you think she'll say?
She's going to call Andy Cohen, like, Andrew Cohesion or something equally absurd, and the entire momentum of the screaming match is going to screech to a halt.
Andrew Cohesion. The accuracy of that prediction is frightening. Final prediction. A surprise alliance nobody saw coming.
Liz and Rulla.
Explain the sociology behind that. Why would they team up?
Because in the trailer, Rulla calls Jo-Ellen a psychopath, and Jo-Ellen just smiles serenely. I think Liz, who is highly attuned to the audience perception, is going to realize that Jo-Ellen is gaining too much fan power as the vindicated truth teller.
Liz hates when someone else has the power.
Yeah. Exactly. Liz is going to team up with Rulla just to ice Jo-Ellen out of the power dynamic again. The evil stepmother returns to secure her throne.
It is cyclical toxicity. I completely agree with your assessment. The power vacuum must be filled.
Well, we survived unpacking the inaugural season. My excessively lemony water is gone, my bowling muscles are legitimately aching, and my brain is fully fried from the reality TV pathology we just meticulously dissected.
It is time to pass the conversation over to the Snark Squad.
Yes. Snark Squad, we need you in the comments right now.
No.
We have several pressing questions for you. First of all, which of those messy relationship horoscopes felt a little too accurate for your current life? Did you text your ex at 2 in the morning?
Are you currently soft-launching a barista?
Yeah.
We will not judge you, but we will absolutely laugh.
Secondly, we need validation. What is the absolute most competitive you have ever gotten while bowling? Have you ever celebrated a spare like you won a gold medal?
Also, we need your official vote. Which cast member truly carried this entire season on her back? Was it Jo-Ellen with her relentless detective work? Alicia with her fudgicles and stare phobias? Or Rosie with her grinning tactical truth bombs?
And here is a final provocative thought for you to mull over as you start your week. Do you think the presence of the reality TV cameras actually forced Brian to get sloppier and more desperate with his infidelity, like resorting to installing physical GPS trackers to control the narrative? Or did the cameras simply bring his existing chaotic, abusive mess into the light?
Does the show create the monster or just film it?
Oh, that is such a heavy, brilliant question. Let us know your theories and tell us exactly what you want to see when the cameras pick back up for Season 2. Thank you so much for spending your Monday hanging out with us. You know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, and please send the link to this conversation to another snarker in your life so they can spiral and obsess over the details with us.
Because misery and reality television analysis both love company.
Stay hydrated, stay messy, and we'll see you on the Snark side.